Hey guys, this is Brooke Lewis Bellas from iMurders and Slime City Massacre, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There horror movie podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There horror movie podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There horror movie review podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. You know, all of y'all have been showing a lot of support to us, and we really appreciate it. And tonight, we're really excited. We have another awesome guest interview on the show. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce her. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by Brooke Lewis Bellas. Brooke is an actress and producer known for the 2008 thriller iMurders, where she played opposite of Billy D. Williams, Gabrielle Anwar, Tony Todd, and Frank Grillo. She has nearly 100 credits to her name as actress, producer, and writer. Miss Lewis Bellas, thank you for joining us. How are you doing this evening?
Hey guys, don't go out there. I love it. Thank you so. I love your show title. I love what you guys are doing. I love the horror community, no matter what I do. And you guys know this, and I say it all the time. I mean, I've done Broadway, I've done network sitcoms. I know we'll talk about a bunch of stuff. And I haven't done as much horror lately, and I want to. And I just love my horror fans and friends more than anything. That is one community that I'm so blessed to have fallen into. And you guys are just the most loyal, hardworking, supportive, and I just shout out to all the horror fans and listeners from my heart, truly. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, they really are the best.
Yep.
Love it.
Oh, we're definitely the most diehard fans.
Yeah, we're definitely loyal.
No doubt, right? Like I always say that to people. I go, no matter, like I think you guys know, like thank you so much, and I'm so flattered by your compliments and all the credits and stuff. And like you said, with 60 film and television under my belt over 20 years plus now, like I think I've only done maybe 15 horror pieces out of all of them, and I have most fans are my horror fans, and they follow me everywhere, comedy, TV, it doesn't matter. So I feel like one lucky actress producer.
Oh yes, ma'am. You were born in Philadelphia, according to your bio. Can you tell us a little bit about what got you into acting?
Yes. So I was a crazy child, very crazy. And my parents were divorced when I was 2. And, like when you go through sort of childhood trauma of sorts and stuff, you find other outlets. And I found creative outlets. And one of them was literally I would sit by the television. I say this all the time because it's my first memory, until I became like a horror fan when I was young. And I would sit by the TV and I would literally watch like shows on TV on Saturday nights, and I would talk to the characters as if they were like my friends. And I was that crazy, and then I was totally in love with vampires since 5 years old, truly. It like obsessed. Like I used to have dreams, like fantasies about being bitten on the neck by a vampire when I was like a little girl. That's how crazy I am, I swear. And then I was singing and dancing at a young age, and it was just a great like creative outlet for me to deal with issues and stuff, and we all have issues and stuff. So my mom actually started putting me in like local drama classes, writing classes, singing classes when I was pretty young, and then I really started getting active in high school.
So you kind of touched on what got you into the horror genre. So since we are a horror movie podcast here, can you tell us about your history within the genre, and what if you have a favorite franchise that maybe you weren't in or maybe you were in? Just some of your general horror thoughts.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I got to probably give, and I know we just off air talked about Robert Englund, like I got to give props to, well, there's so many. I mean, first and foremost, and way before my time, our time was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
And I will stand behind that all the way. That is one of the most brilliant films I think in the horror genre ever made. And I still to this day have visions of like renting the film when I was a teenager or whatever, and like watching it and thinking thinking about like Ed Neal, and I can talk, like, you guys are true blue horror fans, so the cult fans will really get this. Like Ed Neal, when he's in the van and cuts his hand open,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's so right. You're like, you didn't expect me to have as much horror knowledge, but I was a horror fan before I was
I'm
a
here for
horror
it.
scream queen. Yes.
I
And
love it.
so, right. And so, like, those moments, and this is what I think the true blue horror fans really get, how chilling that was, right? Like, it chilled me to my core, my spine, and like, but it wasn't that graphic or gratuitous, right?
Right.
It was a simple beat and moment in a brilliant franchise that we remember to this day. And that's what I love about smart horror. Like, you've probably heard me talk a lot about in articles and stuff over the years, like, and shout out to one of my besties, Stacey Lane Wilson, who directed, I know we're going to jump around, but Ricky Dean Logan and I in Psychotherapy, and Stacey and I, that's like an homage to Brian De Palma. So again, one of my very first intros to what I love so much, which I'll jump back to the franchise stuff in a second, but I've always had a draw toward like the thrillers, as you know, which I choose to act in a lot of them. But Brian De Palma and Blowout and Dress to Kill and those like smart horror thrillers really right, like, have always been my jam, and they're so smart. And that's what pisses me off when people like downplay horror or criticize it. They're like, oh, it's dark, it's stupid, it's gratuitous. And yes, there are many, and we know there are, but right, but there are so many smart, like, it's those thrillers and the fun franchises from the 80s. And shout out, of course, segueing back around to Robert Englund, like Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, I grew up as my late teens. Nightmare on Elm Street was the jam, and I love them to this day. And to have had the opportunity to work with or do horror convention signings opposite Ricky Dean Logan, Lisa Wilcox, who I love, who you had on the show, like these wonderful actors, true actors, I feel so lucky. So that's my franchise. And again, I know, of course, with due respect, franchise shout out to Candyman.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to ask you about that.
Mm-hmm.
It is coming. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, like we kind of touched on in the intro a little bit, one of your most famous roles is where you played Agent Laurie Romano in that '08 thriller iMurders. Can you tell us a little bit about that role and how it was, playing opposite of some of these Hollywood legends you just brought up, such as, Candyman himself, Tony Todd, obviously, and Gabrielle Anwar, and William Forsythe, and Frank Grillo, and the others?
It was surreal, and it's so funny because I know it's all these years later, and when you guys like speak of the film and did my intro, thank you again, and you say like you got to work with Tony Todd, Billy D. Williams, awesome. William Forsythe, Gabrielle Anwar, Frank Grillo, and it's like, it's crazy. Oh, I'm so sorry, doorbell's ringing. Apologize.
No problem.
But it's scary here. But so to work with those greats it's still like I pinch myself because I can hardly believe it. And it's so funny, like, to share with you guys and the listeners, when I'll never forget. So we had just come off of, and this is really to share, and we can segue back around because it's hilarious how I became a scream queen. It was never planned. I am blessed and grateful, to have that title bestowed upon me with Showtime's Kinky Killers. And that's the funniest story ever. So I'll leave it to you guys if you want to hear about it, but we'll stay on iMurders for now. That being said, I had just kind of broken out in the horror thriller mystery genre with Kinky Killers on Showtime 3 nights a week for 2 years straight, and became the new quote unquote it scream queen. So we dove into iMurders shortly after, where Ken Del Vecchio, my producing partner back in New York at the time, and Robbie Bryan and Christy Botello, Robbie was directing iMurders and they were producing it, and we collaborated with them to bring the film to fruition. It took them several years, like 4 years, to make it happen. And so when I found out, when they cast me as Laurie Romano, and I was one of the executive producers of many, and they said, you're going to be partnered with Tony Todd. Now, when I was young, oh my gosh, Candyman scared the hell out of me. I mean, I'm telling you, like, my one of my boyfriends in high school would drive me into the woods after we saw it, turn the mirror on me and say Candyman 5 times, and I almost had a heart attack. I'm telling you, so I was horrified. So that stayed with me forever. And here I am now, grown up, and I was getting anxiety. I was like, oh my God, I'm starring next to Candyman. Oh my God. Not to mention, you guys, and because Tony Todd's a dear friend of mine, and he's a huge, big, lovable teddy bear. But the guy is what, 6'5" and ginormous,
huge,
right? And I'm 5 feet tall, and 5'6" in heels, but I'm like this little bitty thing, and he's huge, and I'm like, oh my God, he's so intimidating. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And I will never forget. Like, I was excited, I was anxious, I was scared, and I went on to set the very first day, and there he was when we had our scenes together, and he gave me the biggest bear hug, welcomed me, was so supportive, so complimentary. And again, like, I have to give him props, you guys. Like, he's such a brilliant actor, like a true blue actor. He's not just some scream king,
Right.
And like, again, he deserves the acknowledgement he's done. If people are really to go fans and go look at his body of work, it's pretty tremendous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what an and then, oh my gosh, like, here's the best part, and we laugh to this day. iMurders was my worst acting performance I've ever given. How's that? Truly. And I joke about it, but I think I let the nerves, and there was a lot going on behind the scenes, and it was an indie film with all these big stars, and we put so much money into the cast. Again, like I said, I was one of the executive producers, and Robbie Bryan and I were like, overwhelmed at times, and we're still best friends to this day, and we talk about it, and it's like, it was a little intimidating. And Gabrielle Anwar, I mean, we're talking Scent of a Woman, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you guys probably had like fantasies about Gabrielle Anwar. She's so beautiful. Burn Notice, Florida, right?
No comment.
Yes. So, like, even just to work with Gabrielle, who was such a brilliant actress, I mean, what an honor. But I'm telling you, all that stuff kind of threw me a little bit as an actress, honestly. And I look back, I watch it now, and I'm like, oh my God, I made such bad choices as an actor and mistakes. And so I have those regrets personally, but professionally, again, I actually needed that film after Kinky Killers, which I thought was going to destroy my career. But, God rest Charles Durning from Dog Day Afternoon and Tootsie and Best Little Horse in Texas, the genius of a man he is. Rest his soul in the ground. Like, he must be, when they titled that film Kinky Killers, I thought we would all like die. But but it gave me a career as a scream queen. And again, it's hilarious, but that's how life works, and that's how career works. And that's why, I'm a very, very serious professional, but at the same time, I really have learned to have thicker skin, and I've learned to, kind of self-deprecate and make fun of myself and of my career, because you kind of have to, like, because you just never know where life or career is going to take you.
Right.
Absolutely. So, talk to us a little bit about The Day for the Living Dead. It's kind of set in that glitzy 50s Hollywood time period, and you just don't see that a lot, especially in horror. So, talk a little about your experience on that.
Yes. So I'm so excited to talk about it. You guys are probably getting like one of the first exclusives about The Day of the Living Dead, because it's a film that we shot quite a few years ago, and it never got a proper release. And so they edited it, they updated it, they did pickups, and I'll shout out to the amazing Thomas Churchill, who is a dear friend of mine from New York for a million years and a wonderful, wonderful director. He's really starting to blow up, and we had done this film, The Day of the Living Dead, and it's very much a zombie story, like you said, but yes, it is set in glitz and glamour of Hollywood, 1957, which you guys know. Yes, I love. Oh my gosh. Totally. Who doesn't love old Hollywood, Right. And so it's really interesting because it's shot partially in black and white, partially in color. And it is sort of a bit of a mystery, and it traces the steps of the lead character, Lazarus, who discovers that employees of the Seven Deadly Sins company are being sort of poisoned. And so there's a whole insurance fraud situation. Here's this I want to share with your listeners that you'll love this. So when we first they were in development for the film, Thomas Churchill and I had coffee, and he offered me one of the lead roles, and I was totally in love with the role, and it was a very sexy role, and so on and so forth. And this is so funny, but not. This is part of my crazy career. So I have horrible, horrible allergies and asthma. Bad. And I'm allergic to most animals, unfortunately. Even I love dogs, and but I'm allergic. So anytime there are animals on set, I can't be there. So they were filming all of that character scenes in his cousin's dog kennel, like like dog. They were using it. I'm not even kidding you guys. Like a
Jeez.
dog
Oh, no,
kennel.
that's-
I
ooh.
swear, right? So he tells me this, and thankfully he was so honest and respectful. And he's like, I'm worried about your health. I'm like, I can't do it. So I ended up rereading the script, and choosing. I said, so it was funny because he offered me a couple other roles, which is so. I hear myself talking, and I'm like, I have to pinch myself again in gratitude for the fact that, like, look at me, who am I? I'm nobody, and I get to like choose roles and get direct offers on these indie films, and it's magical, right? So like he comes to me and he said, here's a couple other supporting roles that are great that are meaty. And I went to him, and there was a role that was written for a much older actress, and he was in talks with a very, very famous mainstream / horror actress. I won't say the name. And he was in talks with her, and I said, why don't you let me play that part? And he was like, really? And it was an older role for me, much older for me. But I said, yeah, I'll we'll make me look a little bit older. We'll be just more sophisticated. We'll play down the sexual part of
Right.
me or whatever, right? And we did. And, it's a supporting role, but it was a great, fun role for me to play. And the cast, like, I ended up bringing in for them Natalie Victoria from Deadheads, who is just beautiful and one of my dearest friends. And she's the female lead in this. And they have James Duval, and they have Josh Hammond from Jeepers Creepers,
Ooh,
and
okay.
oh
Okay.
yeah, like a really great cast. So it is getting an on-demand TV release from what I have been told so far, and it should be out, I believe, either end of summer or fall. So we're really excited. I'm really excited
Good.
about that. It's always nice when you work hard on a project and it finally gets the proper release that it deserves,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, it sounds great. Actually, all of these movies sound great. That
Aw.
looking at some of them, especially this one. I mean, you got a number of projects coming down the pipeline, but one of them is the Second Age of Aquarius. The plot summary again sounds very interesting, as it opens up with the question: ever wonder what it would be like to bring your favorite dead rock star back to life? So, I mean, can you tell us a little bit about that and your role as Tawny Stevens in that movie?
Absolutely. So again, shout out to Stacey Lane Wilson, who again is not only, a great writer, brilliant writer and great director and one of my besties. And it's so great to have that girl power in Hollywood and to get to work together with, people who know who I am as an actress and write me these incredible roles, that I know I can sink my teeth into, and that they, funny pun intended, my fangs into, and that they know though that I'm going to love and be inspired by. And that's really all I ever want as an actress. Is it's not about the money, it's not even about the fame anymore. It's really about doing great roles that are fun and that excite me. And so Stacey partnered for quite some time actually with Darren Gordon Smith from Repo, Repo fame,
Okay,
right?
right.
Genetic rock opera. So they partnered and they wrote this incredible indie film that they had at some big production company for a while. And then it got turned around, which happens all the time in Hollywood. And they said, you know what? Enough is enough. Let's just make it ourselves. We'll do it as an indie. And so it is an indie. And she had come to me and she said, do you want to read the script? And I actually was able to raise a bit of money for them for the film. And so I was like, let me read this. And, she's so cute. She's like, yeah, but there's only like a supporting role for you. And I'm like, I don't care if it's a great role, right? Count me in.
hmm
So it is so sweet, you guys. It's in post-production. We shot it so we shot my stuff. We shot in like November of last year, right before I had to bounce to go up to Reno, Nevada to shoot Mark Klebanoff's TV series Stripped, which we can talk about later, that I got to star in with the Casper Van Dien. And so fall was really busy for me, fortunately, which is, I'm so grateful since, the world's in hell right now. But so anyway, back to Second Age of Aquarius. So she comes through this film and we shoot it. And then they ended up filming all of December, which I was not there for because of filming in Reno, Nevada, the other TV show. And so the star of the film is Christina Jacqueline Kalf and Michael Ursu. I always say his name, Ursu. And right, Michael Ursu. And so it's just the sweetest. It's like a sci-fi, sort of sci-fi, more comedy music with a hologram. And I have to be careful what I say because again, it's only in post. But
Right.
they are so talented, those two crazies, Stacey and Darren, and Nancy Long, Darren's wife and producing partner, and she stars in it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful group of hardworking, talented people who I love personally and also professionally. And it is so great to have an opportunity to work with people like that who, again, know your strengths and your weaknesses. And so she said to me, check out the role. to play Christina's young mom, Tawny Stevens. So the story, without giving too much away, but it's really such a sweet piece where where my daughter Alberta actually, so we're originally from New Jersey, and Alberta suffers from like anxiety disorder, kind of like agoraphobia, and she gets that, but she's really great on with tech and on the computer, and so she gets this great job in California, leaves me, her mom, her young mom, go across the country to California, and she's living there, but she works mainly from home in her apartment because of her anxiety and everything,
Right.
and doing IT. And so then Nana, my mom, and again, I had her when I was like 18 years old or 17 years old, and Nana practically raised her, my mom. So
okay.
I am Tawny Stevens, stuck in the 80s, her mom in Jersey. And so it opens with, right, I'm not kidding, with Nana dying. And so I play Tawny Stevens, her mom. I am like totally like stuck in the 80s, that crazy 80s, like a video vixen. Stacy wrote me the role. Okay. Like think of Tawny, the beautiful Tawny Katane, who I know and
Right.
love. Right?
Okay.
That's it, right? So she's like that rocker hair, and she's got the black rocker jacket and concert shirts. I wear an AC/DC and a Def Leppard concert shirt, and it's great. And like leopard pants. And Allison Noel, shout out to Allison Noel, my makeup artist, my hair and makeup stylist. Like, she jumped in and she created this whole 80s look for me. And it truly is like Video Vixen. And of course, I'm from Jersey, so I get to talk a little like, oh, honey.
Yeah.
Yes. So I get to do that jerk since I'm half from Jersey, Philly and Jersey. It's like, oh, honey, what are you doing? Like, it was so much fun. So much fun. So, and what a great cast. Again, they got Keishan Giles and my buddy Drew McInerney we put in it, and just a really fun, heartfelt film that I think the world needs more of. So again, really comedy, music, and a little bit of that like tech, a little bit of
Right.
hologram stuff, but a sci-fi component of it for sure.
That sound great. That sounds so
Yeah.
fun.
Sounds great to me.
It is so fun, you guys. You're gonna love it. I haven't, obviously, like I said, it's in post-production. We have not even seen the finished cut yet. I cannot wait.
I mean, and again, I know you can't say too much about it, but I mean, you've also got a TV show you're part of coming up called Red Rooms, which is a great name. And all of these, again, all of these summaries sound so interesting and amazing. So for those of you unfamiliar with the summary on this, just listen to this real fast. So in the darkest corners of the dark net, there are places where victims are held captive, psychologically tortured, live streamed, then given a chance to escape if they confess their worst sins, preserving them online for eternity in Red Rooms. So, I mean, that sounds great. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that's some serious horror. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, like you guys are going to freaking love this. Okay, so I'll tell you a little, and I can because I own it. All right, so this is how this came to pass. So I remember I was saying all fall I was super busy and very gratefully so. And so we shot, so Joshua Butler, who is a very famous television director and pretty famous indie film director, we met. So I just got to share this because this is how life works again. So Joshua Butler and I met back in 2008, beginning of 2008. Or summer 2008, probably. We were on the horror movie circuit for the festivals. We sort of toured together in some, weird way from 08 to 09 when Robbie, Brian, and I did iMurders. And so Josh, at the same time, had his film Vlog with Twisted Pictures, which for any of you younger kids, that is the Saw franchise group.
Right.
So Vlog came out. It was a huge success. I mean, they went on to win like every feature film award, and we were always like neck and neck. It was great. But Josh was amazing, and he and I became the dearest of friends, and that's how long we've known each other. And so then Vlog got picked up by MTV and became a TV series. And then Josh had a blossoming television directing career. So he's directed, for the young listeners, Vampire Diaries, Secret Circle, Magicians, The Following, and on and on and on. He's worked with the greats, the TV greats. So again, in keeping with great friendship, and we've been talking about doing an indie film together for a long time, and I have been urging him to do something similar to Vlog. I was like, we got to go back to our roots,
Right.
So we started, long story long, last fall, we got together, and I was like, let's shoot a proof of concept for like a new age vlog. So we got together and shot that in about end of October. And then I told you I did Second Age of Aquarius, and then I went to do Stripped in Reno, Nevada. And so here we are. So we were waiting to kind of go into production on this vlog concept. And then the pandemic hit. So COVID-19 hits, March 12th,
Right.
whatever it was, and
Right.
the world goes to hell. And
Right.
I was like, you know what? I'm such a visionary. I don't sit still, as you guys know. I'm like, I cannot, like, respectfully, and trust me,
Absolutely.
I did so much charity work behind the scenes for the Actors Fund and first responders. And I was giving away, selling autographs and donating everything to first responders. But so I just want to make sure everyone knows like how supportive I was of and respectful to COVID-19. But at the same time, I'm a firm believer in moving forward. We have to forge ahead. We have to stay sane. We have to stay creative. It's the only way, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
So I call up Josh. We have like a Skype meeting. And I was like, dude, let's film this virtually. Let's film the rest of it virtually. Let's tweak it, twist it. Here's my concept I'm pitching to you, how we can do this. He's like, are you nuts? And then he's like, oh my God, this is genius. So then he's so brilliant. And this is what a great collaborative partnership entails. He's so brilliant. He takes my concept idea of shooting these characters now virtually, and he creates an entire umbrella story. He was very familiar with Red Rooms. And this is real, listeners. I'm not I'm not hip to this like dark web shit. Am I allowed to say shit? Sorry. But
You can
I'm
say
not
whatever
like,
you want on this.
okay, good. Like I'm not like hip to this dark web shit because that's a little too dark for me. I'm more of
Right.
like, I'm Miss Vampy. I'm all about like horror love. So like that comes but it was brilliant. And we really did I said, here's the thing. I miss my horror. I've done so many comedies and web series and, sci-fi and like a lot of comedies lately, which I love and wanted to do. And I wasn't running intentionally from horror, but like I haven't really been inspired by any of the horror scripts I've been given lately. So I was like, I need to do something horror. I need to give my fans back something. And I miss everyone. And I want to take something to the horror festival soon again. It's been a couple years. So we end up doing this. He comes up with this dark idea. Again, like exactly what I had asked for, similar to Vlog. And here we are with Red Rooms. And I executive produced it through Philly Chick Pictures, my production company. I produced it and he created it and we partnered. And I mean, we put this together, you guys, all through the pandemic and isolation and quarantine.
awesome.
No joke, like very
awesome.
early on. Thank you. It was hard as hell. Legit, like we were like, yeah, for any producers out there, I mean, we legitimately were like, I'm sitting there on the phone every day with people's like agents and managers. I'm doing contracts, like, which I always do anyway as a producer, but here
Right.
Josh and I are being like costume designers, art department, he's doing the camera work like a DP while he's directing. I mean, it was cuckoo. I was in Video Village via FaceTime. I'm not kidding. So it was crazy train. So we literally took on every level of production possible and worked our asses off and we did it and got a cast like, okay, so to again, like veteran horror greats, in my humble opinion, like first of all, so I got to star in it with David Alpay from Vampire Diaries,
Nice.
right? Suze Lanier Bramlett, who's like my soul sister, who's like one of my besties, and the original Hills Have Eyes, Wes Craven,
Oh,
right?
wow.
We got another shout out to Mr. Ricky Dean Logan, who I had to hire again because he's so talented that we did psychotherapy now, from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Absolutely.
And my dear friend of 100 years, Noah Blake, who is such an incredibly talented actor. And I mean, he was in Teen Witch, Teen Wolf, all those films, all those TV series when he was a kid, like a teenager. So we really have the most important thing to us was, especially Josh. Josh is a snob and good for him. He should be, he's earned it. And like, we just wanted the most incredible actors. And he wrote this umbrella story for these people so I got to place these actors that I had, relationships with in these roles. And it was just worked out incredibly. And so we shot it all of, end of March through April. I mean, and we shot it all virtually. We filmed and we shot like
wow. That's awesome.
each
That's
person
incredible.
a day. And like, but like real deal, like, not just, okay, let's make like a YouTube show,
Right.
like
Right.
real deal using, and then Josh is being so brilliant. We're right now in post-production and he, I've gotten him the best of like the CGI apps and like he's really, and then shout out to like just the best team. I mean, Luna Pan is doing all all of the music and like, real composition. It's incredible, like real horror, good stuff. And shout out to John Pappas, who did these like graphics for us that are brilliant, and he'll do our movie poster soon as well. And it just was an incredible team, and that's what we needed. Like, it was hard as hell, but like it was so important, I think, to do this during a time, such tough times where people were so down and out, and it created an opportunity for not just me selfishly, but and Josh and I talk about that. Like, he's like, look at this opportunity created for us at a time when like everybody needed to keep their morale up,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So honestly, originally I have a deal, like an output deal with Amazon Prime for it, except now it's so damn good. Wait, it's so damn good that we are actually thinking that we are going to attempt, like the really prestigious festivals like Sundance and Slamdance and Tribeca before we even go that route now, because it's turned out better than we ever expected.
Absolutely.
It sounds
That's
great.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
No, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys, it's raw. It's you
That's what I
guys
like.
are gonna yes, I knew that. Like it's so raw. It's like very guy friendly. Like you're just gonna. It's just that creepy dark. Yeah, horror. Slime City Massacre. You guys should check it out just because I think it's so it's very campy, very fun. It's very like
Love it.
horror, sci-fi, action. Very well. Are you guys Trauma fans? Are you old school Trauma fans at all?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Lloyd Kaufman's in it. Debbie Rochon is the star.
Okay.
So Slime City, I only bring it up just because I think you guys would love it, and I think your audience would love it. Like, I mean, but I bring it up too because that's actually like the cult classic style horror film that really made me a scream queen in 2009. That Greg Lamberson, who's another incredible genius, and he had done Slime City in 1988. My gosh, in New York City, and it became a cult classic.
Right.
Slime City, and then 20 years later he did Slime City Massacre, and he cast me in that, and with Debbie Rochon, Lloyd Kaufman, Lee Perkins, Roy Frumkes. I mean, like the old school.
Old school,
So
yep.
that's what put me kind of on the map as like a real cult horror gal. And Debbie Rochon, don't even get me started. You know how talented and beautiful she is.
I'm
So-
in for sure. Absolutely.
Right. So what platform can we watch that on? And anybody else that's listening might want to know too.
Oh, that's a great question. And that might be why you've missed it lately. So to all the listeners, so it's on DVD, obviously. And then it was on, ready for this. This is a kind of obnoxious shout out. So Amazon Prime had it for a year. They pulled it. So we're distributed by Camp Motion Pictures. And then when Amazon Prime revamped and did all that stuff, and they ended up pulling a lot of the cult classic horror films that they thought were too graphic, because there's one scene where, Debbie's in a tub and she has like a killer vajayjay. Yes.
That's right out of Camp Street. I love it. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That sounds like it's from the 80s. That doesn't sound like it's from 2000.
That's why I brought it up. I mean, I thought for sure you guys would be Slime City Massacre junkies, but it's on DVD. You might even be able to get it for free at this point on like YouTube, but I know Camp Motion Pictures distributed us, and I know last I spoke to Greg Lamberson, I think once they had pulled it from Amazon Prime, I think they were gonna fight to get it back on, but that was like the end of last year that it disappeared. So that's a really fun one that was honestly one of the lowest. I talk about it all the time. One of the lowest budget films I've ever acted in, and one of the greatest experiences I've ever had on a film. I had to go to Buffalo, New York for the month of July in 2009, and they treated us like rock stars. Shout out to Buffalo. And Greg Lamberson, knows his stuff. But like Roy Frumkes, and he was in it. And then Robert Bozek. Like all the old school, like Street Trash and all those guys, right?
Wow. Yeah, absolutely.
I should know exactly details, but I don't. But I'd have to look it up for you, and I probably could. So so for all the real old school horror fans that are listening, like check out Slime City Massacre. I think you would. You should. Yeah, Bob Bozek, Dick Beale, like bunch of like older horror guys like made an appearance.
That sounds great to me. I'll definitely check that out. So you have another project on the way, like in this coming up month, called The Morning. It's not exactly horror per se, but it has a sci-fi drama feel to it. It's coming out on Tubi. You want to talk to us a little bit about that?
I do. So I love this film. And again, this is kind of another re-release sort of thing where, again, like we had a release and it was actually on TV on demand for a short time. And then they pulled it and then everything went awry when things keep changing with streaming. So now it actually, again, has a fair shot. It's like they're doing a big release of it right now, and it's titled The Morning, and Mark Klebanoff directed it, again, who directed the TV pilot strip that I did with Casper Van Dien. And so it releases on Tubi. In fact, you're the very first ones who are getting to hear this. So again, you're getting another exclusive announcement. And it released on Tubi. They don't have the exact date yet, but I'm waiting, and I think I know it's June, so it's like coming in the next like 2 weeks or so. And so it is a beautiful, beautiful indie film that we shot in Michigan a couple of years back, and it stars Michael Walton, it stars Kinga Phillips, it stars Dominique Swain, Peter Dobson, Louis Mandylor, Larry Henkin from Home Alone, and now Breaking Bad, the movie, and just an incredible, incredible cast. And so we shot that, and it's sci-fi, sort of a drama, and sort of a romance love story as well. But it really will pull at your heartstrings, everyone, no matter if you like sci-fi, if you like drama, if you're into romance. Like, it just is a beautiful, sad story. And again, I want to be careful, like, how much I talk about it, but it's funny. So you'll love this. So I play kind of like the comedic relief in the film. See, that happens a lot. And I play Lisa Assface.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, Lisa Assface. So it's the small town of Michigan, and I went to grew up, the whole lifetime in the small town with the two leads, Michael Walton and Louis Mandylor, and then they come back from the war, and I don't want to give too much away, but you'll see. And it's about life and death and love and supernatural. And so they go to the local bar, and they run into Lisa Assface, and Lisa Assface was really like an ass face, not attractive, and hit on the two of them in high school. And now they come back, and she's kind of like a little bit of a sex pot. She's kind of hot, a little, whatever. I mean, I'm saying that humbly, but that's the point of the character. And so she hits on them at the bar again. And the one guy doesn't even recognize her, and then Louis Mandylor's like, that's Lisa Assface, and he's like, oh my God, so, and it kind of, then trouble ensues. Yeah, of course. And then it becomes this crazy sci-fi thriller. And it's just a really well done film that, and I could sit here and talk and take up 7 more shows of yours. For me, again, it is about, at this point, at my age, my life and career, I just love quality projects. I love a great script. I love a great role, right? And I'm not, look, I don't judge. I'm nobody to judge anyone. And look at me. I've done films like Killer Rack and Slime City Massacre and Dahmer versus Gacy, but they're smart. And the subtext of the script has always been smart. And that's all I ever want, is to make decent films,
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally understand that. So a little bit back in the horror genre here, and we normally ask all our guests this. I'm really interested to hear your perspective on it. What scares you? Anything that scares you, whether that be horror movie or anything else. What is it that scares you, Brooke?
Well, besides the obvious, I'm the worst Ms. Vampy, because I'm scared shitless of spiders, and I'm scared shitless of rats and rodents and shit.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Me too. I do not like mice.
I understand.
Hate
Mice and
mice.
rats is a no over here as well.
Oh,
Gross.
no, I'll throw up in my mouth. No. So that's the obvious. I don't, the thought of being alone, and I don't mean alone in the house or alone in the moment, being alone in life, of not having love and friends and family and my husband now, and just the thought of going through life alone scares me, right? And that's I know that's a deep thing, real quick shout out, and I'm sure again, because you guys and your listeners are such true blue horror fans, I happen to be in love with a lot of the French horror films. Are you guys into those at all?
I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah. So, and I think you would like them. There's one, have you ever heard of Inside?
Did they do
I've never heard.
Did they do an American version of it? Because it sounds familiar.
Do you know they may have? I think they did, and I will tell you it's not nearly as good as the French version, and I think they did.
I have no doubt about that.
Yes. And watch the French version. Trust me, I can't, I'm so ADD, I cannot stand looking at subtitles, trust me, but Inside the French version is so brilliant. What about Martyrs? Are you familiar with Martyrs?
I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen Martyrs,
Okay.
High Tension.
Yes.
I've seen a few of them.
High tension.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. I'm familiar with.
High tension. Okay. So those two, Martyrs in particular, to me, like when I watched that, I would cry out of fear watching that film. The torture and and when she is like tortured and beaten and like that. And I guess as I'm talking it's a great question, you guys, because it's actually bringing out that whole like female empowerment in me, like those films where they torture women, even, I was about to say the original I Spit on Your Grave, but see, that's like,
Right.
again, like women revenge. And, I like that too, so, yeah, but I mean, so those are the things that really kind of pull at my like guts,
Right.
that kind of scary fear of that, like alone torture, stuff like that.
And that seems to be kind of a trademark of foreign films a lot. I mean, we just got done doing Audition a couple of episodes back, and that was, that ended right on, spoiler alert, nothing but, torture. So
Straight
it's
up
almost
torture
it's almost
scene,
along that same on the same lines as a lot of foreign films that do that. It must scare a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a good point. That made me think of it. Shout out to the beautiful Ashlyn Yenny, who I was on the Bowling for Boobies Horror Starlets team for Busted Foundation for many, many. I was the co-captain with Sean Decker at Dread Central. I don't know if you guys know that, but that ended years ago now. But yeah, I was, I'm a big philanthropist, and I was on the Horror Starlets team. And so Ashlyn Yenny was one of our girls on the Horror Starlets, and she had just gotten done doing Human Centipede, right?
Oh wow, yeah.
That made me think of that. So you think like, and they're very from Amsterdam or whatever, but those films are all done overseas and foreign, and what's his name, Tom Six, right? And
Right.
Yep.
yeah, and so wow, like think about that. That's so torture.
That
Yeah.
first Human Centipede actually is smarter than people give it credit for. It's actually saying something. The second one is the one that's a little
Wacky.
The second one is
sewing mouths to butts for no reason. The first one actually has smart subtext. It's even got like Nazi World War II subtext to it. So that's actually a really smart film.
I could totally agree. So it made me think, totally agree, and that made me think of it like you're so right. Like the torture in the European market and the overseas market and the Chinese market a little bit too. I think with like a lot of the Chinese, Japanese horror films, a little different. That's more like the the Ring and stuff like that. But like yeah, you're so right. And if you think about it, even some of the later like newer Eli Roth.
Right.
So true. Like what was that one? The Green Lantern, or not Green Lantern, Green Inferno, or what?
Yeah, Green Inferno.
Green Inferno.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was torture.
Hostel had a message too.
Hey, Green Lantern was torture too. I just
Yes. See, we could talk about foreign horror films all day long. And like again, I think a lot of people don't even educate themselves on a lot of the intelligent horror market overseas.
Absolutely.
Hey, bro, we you said we're all friends, so I'm gonna ask you a fun question if you don't mind. I started this question with the great Miss Lisa Wilcox. We are all said that horror fans are the most dedicated, most passionate. What's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do, or the weirdest thing you've ever seen at a convention?
So we've been to a couple, and it's a little different now.
I love that question, and you damn well know I'm going to have a lot of great answers for it, right?
Okay. Tell us all.
I can't wait. Let's go.
Freaking hysterical. Okay, so the two that come to mind, well, there's several, but there are two that come to mind right away. Okay, so one, I'll never forget, this one guy, I'm at Texas Frightmare Weekend, right? So I'm talking we're talking the big conventions, right? So I'm at Texas Frightmare Weekend. This one guy comes up, and he wants to take a photo with me. And I love the fans. So I'm like, yeah, of course, come on. So he takes a photo with me together. And when he's done, he goes, I thought he was going to just like kiss my hand like a gentleman would, and he like bent my hand to kiss it. He licked me from my hand up to my like shoulder blade like on my skin. I'm not kidding.
Oh no.
What is wrong with people?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Okay, licked me. I mean, thank goodness that we weren't in COVID-19
I was gonna say
then.
that's even scarier now.
I
Oh my gosh.
know. Forget it. He licked me, you guys. I mean, oh my God. Okay, this one's so that's funny but sick. This one's actually really funny, and thank God I have a good sense of humor. So I am at Horror Hound Weekend 2010. And I'm there as Ms. Vampy. It was the Vampira convention.
Okay.
And so they were doing like a side convention in honor of Vampira. And so I go as Ms. Vampy. And so I have all these like teenage boys like stalking my booth, and they're at my table and they keep wanting to come and talk to me and whatever and take pictures, fine. So like toward the end of the one day, I'm standing there and they're like, oh, Ms. Vampy, can we take more? We love you. You're so hot. Can we take some pictures with you? I'm like, of course, take more. So like I'm taking one with like they wanted to do like individuals. So I'm taking one, and this is a group of like 13, 14-year-old boys. Okay. Like horny little adolescent 14-year-old boys. So the one, I think they were even younger. They might've been like 12 or 13. So the one takes a picture with me. Yeah. And I'm Ms. Vampy and I've got my push-up bra on and my leather jacket. And the one takes a picture with me and his friends are taking the photo or snapping the photo. And I'm smiling and he finishes the photo and then he grabs my ass. Like smacks me, like takes like a chunk out of my ass.
Good game.
Just like,
no.
yeah, horny little 13-year-old. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, stop that. Don't do that. That's disrespectful, Then I take a picture with his friend. They're taking the photos again. And the kid takes the picture with me and then grabs my boob.
Oh no.
Jeez.
That's harassment, brother.
Oh yes, right before this, long before the Me Too movement, right?
Right.
So I'm like, you horny little adolescent brats. Like, I swear, I go, oh my God. I was like, I am old enough to be your mother. I was like, I could be your goddamn mother. I was like, stop that. Don't ever do that to women again. But like, I turned around and I was like, and then they ran away, like giggling, like out of a movie. It was so cute, I have to admit.
Oh,
But like,
goodness.
oh no, but wait, here's another real creeper one that I'll share. So again, I do a lot of philanthropy and a lot of charity work and stuff. So probably about 6 years ago now, I do a charity. They hit me up from this big charity for I think it was a cancer charity. I don't remember exactly which one. And they said, oh, you know what? It was a breast cancer one. So I jumped right on it. That's what it was. And here's why. Because they said to me, they emailed me and said, would you be generous enough to donate like a sports bra, workout bra, like we're doing, workout cancer, breast cancer. So I said, absolutely. So it was like so it was a sports bra and I had to like autograph it and then they auctioned them off or whatever they did for bids and they made money from our workout bras. Okay. So the guy was super cool who I think he was like a fan, but I had known him like for years chatting on, Twitter, whatever. And the guy who was running the event, he emails me. He said, Brooke, can I just share something like that totally creeped me out? I'm like, of course. He goes, some fan of yours just emailed me and said, I want to make a bid and I'm going to make an even bigger bid. I just need to know, does it smell like Brooke's sweat?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Does it
My
smell
goodness.
like Brooke's like boob
What
sweat?
is wrong with people? What's wrong with all of you?
Swear. Uh-huh. And I mean, I have to, like, again, I have a sense of humor and I have to laugh. Like, because how do you get through this industry, especially the horror world, if you don't have a sense of humor? But like, when you really think about that, I know I laughed, but like other women would have freaked out. Like we were laughing, the director of this charity and I, but he was like, dude, this is sick. He goes, does this happen to you a lot? I go, all the time. All the time. Yeah, all the time.
You are validating this question because I have a friend, listens to the show. She asked me, why do you guys ask that question? This is validation right here. This is the reason we asked the question.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not, what goes on is that I did I used to get this every year, the Kick Up Your Heels, which was another charity I did for an art school for kids in New York for underprivileged kids. And I would do, shout out to Dave, and he just ended it this last year and everything that's going on now. Obviously we can't do it right now, but like, so we would donate a pair of heels. Kick Up Your Heels.
I see where this is going already.
Exactly. You want to finish the story? Because I know you can.
Oh, man.
And he too every year would like email me, Brooke. He'd be like, some fan just emailed me on eBay and said, okay, I'm only making a bid if I can you smell Brooke's feet?
Oh.
Foot fetish gang.
Yep.
Wow.
I feel bad for attractive women in this world, honestly. It's rough.
I think it's all women. Thank you for saying attractive, though. I know. I go. Oh, I tell my husband all the time. Yeah, it's like when you're in your 20s and 30s. Now I'm in my 40s. It's like, okay, like,
Right.
you don't. I don't get it quite. Well, that's probably not true. Actually, I do get a lot of sickos still asking for crazy shit. I get fan mail still. It's like crazy. I get yeah, people are nuts. I get emails to my business email. Brooke from fans. Brooke, I'm coming to visit LA from Ohio. Can we meet for lunch on Tuesday?
Oh my God.
I swear to God. I'm like, what? What?
Man.
Stalker? What?
Listen,
Yeah,
to all of our fans, don't do this.
Please
Yes!
do not do this.
Please don't do
Thank you.
this. You look crazy.
The origin of that question is because we went to Days of the Dead in Atlanta in February, and I don't think any of us had ever been to a horror convention before. So
No
this was
way.
like opening Pandora's box for us, and we could not believe what we were seeing.
Tell me.
It's just like you could like there's no judgment in this, but you walked in and it was a completely different world. Like people dressed up and people, buying very weird items that people were selling. Like it was very like eye-opening, and I don't mean in a bad way, but it is the origin of the question. We walked out of there like,
along those same lines, Felicia Rose was there along those same lines, and she looked like she was taking some of the brunt of what you were talking about.
Most
Fans
100%.
wanted to come up and flirt. It was just after they would leave, you would see her face just be like, "Oh my God!" So yeah,
Totally. She and I go back a long way. We've known each other since New York, and she's beautiful. And absolutely, I mean, I know what she goes through. I've seen Debbie Rochon, Tiffany Shepis, all the beautiful.
Oh, Scout Compton looked tired. I'll put it that way.
Oh, I love her. I bet. And she's young. Yeah, we have the same publicist. She's great.
Okay. So getting back to everything. Brooke, do you have anything else that you're working on that you'd like to tell our listeners about?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so much good stuff is happening in the midst of just trouble in the world, and I'm so grateful. The only other thing, if you guys want to know anything, and again, I know it's not horror, but I know the horror fans will love it anyway, the TV pilot Stripped that we shot, and we just finished post-production, and it's now pitched to a couple of streaming and TV networks, and Mark Klebanoff wrote it with the late Christoph St. John, soap opera star from Young and the Restless, and it is so cool. I play, one of the series regulars, and I play Jules, and she's a totally obnoxious publicist to the star of the show, which is Mr. Casper Van Dien. So for all the Starship Trooper fans, and he's been around forever. He's such a veteran.
Casper's actually from Pensacola, from my hometown where I live. So he's a very, very nice guy. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's right. He is from there. Oh my God, that's crazy. He is amazing. He is so amazing. And to have an opportunity to do a TV series with him was incredible. And we worked so well together. I play his publicist, and Frank Kruger, one of our other producers, who's such a talent. He plays his agent, Neil. And we have Louis Mandalore again for My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And Jenny, oh my God, Casper's wife, Jenny, is just a darling and beautiful and talented as hell, Jenny Wenger. And we have, again, a lot of the morning crowd. So you'll see us together over and over again coming up soon. We have Suze Lanier Bramlett that I put in it, and Mark Klebanoff cast Larry Henkin again, and oh my gosh, I'm like, why am I blank? Oh, Dat Fan from Last Comic Standing, who is hilarious, and Gary O'Neill, a lot of comedians. It's comedy, it's comedy drama, and Jessica Morris, the beautiful Jessica Morris, who is a dear, dear friend of mine and super talented as well. I mean, and it just goes on and on. Like, I'm so lucky. I'm just lucky. I think about like the people I've gotten to work with, and I'm just lucky.
Bro, we're about to wrap it up. We just want to really thank you again,
Absolutely.
sincerely,
thank you so much.
For joining us. We're definitely looking forward to all of your upcoming projects. Do you want to just give a shout out to like maybe your social medias or your website?
Absolutely.
And before you do give your shout out to your social medias, all listeners, don't be a weirdo in her DMs.
Don't be asking about boob sweat. Come on, guys.
Yeah, don't ask for my panties.
Yeah,
do not.
No.
Unless it's
Don't
for charity.
Well, I was going to say, yeah.
Yes, we'll all do a charity together, and I'll send a pair of panties we can auction off. Maybe you guys will make some money.
Hey,
yes.
Okay.
So
down
charity, forget charity, but yeah, I was going to say shout out to Breaking the Chains Foundation, one of the charities that I'm a celebrity ambassador for again. But speaking of social media, yes, so I'm very active on Instagram, and that is at Brooke Lewis LA, Twitter as well at Brooke Lewis LA, Facebook. I have the fan page, which I do check everyone, so keep them coming. I love your comments, and that is also at Brooke Lewis LA. And my direct press website is brookelewis.com. And everybody check out Philly Chick Pictures if you want to know what I'm in, what I have my hands in producing, and when things are coming out. You can do that as well.
I love that name, Philly Chick Pictures.
I
That's
love
awesome.
that. That's great.
Yeah. Oh, and Ms. Vampy for
There you
all the
go.
horror fans. Go to MsVampy.net or MsVampy.com, and we are still pitching some TV series with Ms. Vampy. Vamp It Out for teen girls, and Ms. Vampy is still undead, and she's not going anywhere.
Love it.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much again. We really appreciate it. Awesome.
You guys are so much fun. I love what you're doing. I love what your show's about. I was so excited when my publicist at Cats PR hit me up and said, "Oh, this horror," because I've been doing a lot of podcasts, and then I said, "Let's take a break for a minute. I'm tired." And then when they said, horror, and then I looked up and I was like, "Oh, don't go out there." I was like, "Yes, I want to do it. I want to do it." So I'm so lucky to spend my Sunday night with you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're lucky as well. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it too. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for supporting a Scream Queen OG.
Absolutely.
That's right.
No doubt about that.
Yep. I'm proud.
And just want to remind everybody to don't go out there.